My name is Tori, and I am joined by Scott Snow from Harper Inspections.
Good morning.
Good morning. We're so happy to have you with us today.
Thanks a lot for letting me be here.
Of course. We're going to be talking about inspections for your buyers and sellers today. So, Scott, let's just go ahead and get started. Let's, to start out, what does a home inspection generally cover?
Well, it's all about scope of work. Mm-hmm. So what you're doing is it's a generality of basically the whole house, and that scope of work is kind of, it goes over your plumbing, the electricity, your framing, structural, and then there's the nuances also that come along with it. But that's pretty much what kind of covers the whole thing. And we're looking to see if there's major discrepancies in the house, things that like wow factors. So,
okay,
yeah.
Perfect. Why is it so important for an agent to attend home inspections?
That's actually a really good point. I think a lot of this is education. Mm-hmm. So, the agent's juggling a lot of things, and it's very important for them to understand what they're dealing with, in what capacity. And that house is really important to them because that's basically their portrait. And for them to give that information back and feedback to the customer to give them, a better advantage of what they want to do with the home, or if they want to go proceed with the sale of the home or purchase of the home. So to me, it's just education for that agent. It's just educating them about the house, the condition of the home, what's the positives, what's the cons, and things, what they need to go back to their customers who they're serving.
So even as they learn and keep going to these inspections, it's still important for them to continuously go, no matter how many you've been to.
Because, and that's a great point, because for them, it illustrates their understanding, their concern for the customer. It gives them the advantage that they really, really want to do good by their customer and present themselves well, and what they're giving their customer, what they're actually suggesting them to purchase. So and overall sign, it's a great thing for an agent to always be there.
Yeah, a little more education never hurt anyone, right?
No, we were just talking
a little
about
bit.
that.
I know we were just talking about that. The more knowledge, the better.
Yep.
Are pre-inspections necessary for sellers? Even if they don't want to?
Yeah, we talked about that too. Yeah, I mean, that's a lot of people shy away from that, and I can understand why. A lot of people think they're undertaking, I guess, out of sight, out of mind is what it comes to my head right off the bat. But if you look at it and you're selling your home, wouldn't you want to know what you're selling instead of being blindsided by an inspector who comes in for the buyer side and finds all these things that are going to now be put up on the contingencies, and now there's this table of thought of, well, what are you going to give and take, and how it's going to be, and it just prolongs the process. I think that the advantages are that you go in, you get a pre-inspection done, you're understanding if you have certain things that need to be addressed right away, but at the same time, you can also say, hey, you know what, buyer, these are the things I didn't get to, but I know of them, I acknowledge them, and you know what, I want to still sell the house for the price I have at. And you can, that's something down priority list that you can tackle down the road, as long as it's not something like, my roof's leaking and the plumbing in the living room's blowing up, and it's all good though, right? So
it's all good.
I think that's really the advantage of the pre-inspection.
So
prepping the house for sale.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. How can a realtor help make sure their buyers and sellers are prepared for a home inspection? Well,
I think that's the point thing is when we talked about this earlier, it's like that realtor is, they're trying to get them to, they're basically finding a home for them based on what they've learned about that client. So, okay, I've heard what you said. I'm looking at what you want. Here's the pictures you're talking about, the desired neighborhood, the school system, all that. Then you get in the nooks and crannies, and this is when the agent has to really understand what they're going after. Some of these homes, like I said this earlier, it's an ecosystem. It's always evolving. So for them, it's basically getting to understand what that customer wants and what they're going to pay for and what they're really going to get. So it's kind of an important factor.
So in the preparation, all sides can kind of help be prepared for a home inspection, whether you're the realtor, the buyer, or the seller. There's no one job that's going to be more important than another.
No, and it's upfront information. So at least everyone's honest and everyone's saying, oh yeah, I understand that. I know it's there. When it's not the white elephant in the room and everyone ignore it, right?
Exactly.
That happens a lot. A lot of people go, oh yeah, I didn't know my roof was leaking. Really? There's mold coming down your house. There's a big hole in the roof. Come on, let's not do that. No, it's silly.
Yeah,
so,
I'm sure you find things all the time.
Oh yeah, interesting things though, and not always bad. I mean, there's some positives. A lot of people really take pride in ownership and put a lot of effort into it. I mean, you're going to find issues. It's just the severity of those issues and really what they mean or pertain to the sale.
And they may not even be all obvious, like a leak in your roof.
And you can't cover everything because what we do is non-invasive. So we're not going in there ripping carpets up and checking on, hey, what's that? You know, we're not looking in walls and finding things in your and opening up holes and stuff like that. It's a visual inspection, and basically that's the scope of work. And we're good at finding and detecting and looking at patterns and visual, basically indicators of issues that might be happening to the house. Okay. And then from there, we determine these are things that a specialist probably should be further consulted on proper repairs and things like that. Yeah.
Okay. Perfect.
Yeah.
When it comes to finding a good home inspector, what are some key points to look for?
Well, for me personally, for me, it's honesty. I mean, there's a lot of great inspectors. I work with tons of them. And I mean, I even mentioned one of them, Steve Brenner. With 3B Properties, he's great. I'll work with these guys. I mean, on a bigger home scale. I mean, I'll work with these guys. I think it's honesty. I think it's understanding that giving the information to the customer of the scope of work you're actually performing for them, and then relaying the proper information to them. You can make a receptacle or an outlet that's not working sound like a 3-alarm fire. It's just how you word it. So, words are scary. You can really put someone back. So you have to be careful what you're saying. You have to be educated in what you're saying. And if you don't know the severity or the size of the scope of issues, then you refer to a specialist and say, hey, this is something that I would refer like an electrician to follow through on because I think it is a safety issue. So these are the things like that. But definitely honesty, the integrity of the work. The commitment is huge too. I mean, commitment. I'm very committed to my customers, and you can refer any one of mine, and they'll call you and tell you that, yeah, I'll go above and beyond. I won't. It's not a churn and burn. Yeah. So when I do a report and I give you that information, you can call me, go over it. I'll talk to you weeks later. You can call me back. I have customers call me all the time, and we go over things all the time. It's important to me that they're satisfied.
Okay. Yeah. So you had said something about getting an electrician if they needed to do something in the house. Is it usually the inspector? Like, are you going to refer that electrician, or do you leave it up to the sellers? Or
yeah, and that's a good question because we have to follow the proper etiquette, and also the fact that we don't want to get ourselves in trouble. So it's not like a referral basis where I'm going to get something back from it. What it is, it's something to help the customer out. And so, for example, I'm part of the North Coast Businesses group, and they're great. And I can always say, hey, here's a list of people you can vet. And if you like these people, great. But I would definitely go through a lot more and see who you want to choose. But at least you get somewhere to start somewhere, and get it right. And then I'll say, yeah, if you really want somebody, I can refer you to somebody, but that's between you and them, and you guys have to take it from there.
But you do have like a preferred list that you hand.
Yeah, I mean,
help people out.
Yeah, and I always try to put more in there so that I can, because I meet wonderful people. I meet wonderful contractors, electricians, and stuff like that, and plumbers. So it's
yeah. I'm sure you meet plenty of people in here.
Yeah, and that's what I love about it. Yeah, it's really awesome. Yeah, it's really kind of fun.
So, kind of piggybacking on the key points, tell us more about you and your career and what makes you different from other inspectors. What makes you stand out?
Different? I don't know. I mean, I'm different maybe because I don't know. I don't. That's a big open-ended question about me. But I guess it starts at home. I mean, I am blessed. I've been married for 25 years to a beautiful woman, and she always has been on my side and taking care of me. And I have beautiful daughters and a granddaughter. I think it's really support starts from there, and that's really what allows me to be free to be a professional and to showcase that and really be successful that way. And I take that out there, and I think that's really what separates me from a lot of people. It means something. Everything I do every day I wake up, it means something to me. So I try to put forth that kind of attitude. Yeah. It's healthy. It's like when I walked in here, you were a positive person. Everybody in here was so positive. It means a lot, to somebody, and acceptable and understanding what I'm trying to achieve every day. I set goals to be better. I set goals to be more educated and to learn from everybody. Even today, like learning the things I learn, I'll try to absorb as much as my little brain can take. Yeah. I'll take it. You know what I mean?
That's what I do every day. I'm learning just
that's all I can do, right? Yeah. So to tell you a little bit about myself, the reason I named it Harper, That's my middle name, but it's named after my grandfather.
Okay.
And he was actually the international treasurer for Bechtel Corporation in the 40s, 50s, and 60s.
Wow.
Yeah. And as he got older, they wouldn't let him go, so they asked him to oversee a lot of their construction projects in Solana Beach and Del Mar.
Okay.
And these are way back in the day.
Yeah.
And on the summertime, I would be able to go a couple times, maybe during the month. He'll take me with him, and here's a man in a three-piece suit and his hat, and he's going and seeing these construction guys, and he's overseeing it, and I got to smell it and taste it and feel it, and it really sunk into me. It really meant something to me. And so when I went to start my own company, that's really kind of what I wanted to invest in, and that's where I kind of came up with the inspector side.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how long have you actually been an inspector?
Well, the company I own right now, we're going on my second year, Harper Property Inspections. But
Congratulations.
yeah, thank you. I'm very happy about that. And then, but I was trained, and I worked for somebody for almost 3 years. So it's been about 5 years I'll be going on. Yeah, so it's been great.
Oh,
really great.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very, very cool.
Yeah.
So we'll go ahead and kind of wrap things up. There's a few people saying hi. So, hi everyone, thanks for joining us. Just to wrap things up, any key points, last minute thoughts that you want to share with everyone when it comes to the inspection?
I think it's important to hire an inspector, whether it's myself or anybody. I think you need to understand what you're buying, and inspectors are great. They will put in forth the efforts. I mean, obviously there's ones that aren't as good, but they're there to give you an understanding of what you're purchasing, and you need to understand what you're buying. This is, like I said before, it's an evolving ecosystem, and there's so many moving parts and so many functionalities. It's really important to understand that and hire an inspector. I really think it's important.
Okay, so keep that in mind. That's his final closing thought for the day. We do have Scott's information in the description of this video. You can contact him via phone, email. Yep. We even have his Instagram, Facebook, his website on there. So feel free to check out his website, contact him anytime. Thank you for being here.
I really appreciate it. That was really fun. Thank you.
And we will see you guys next week. Thank you for joining us. Bye, guys.
Have a good day.